welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. We have a bunch of new updates about X-Men Apocalypse now that filming has officially begun. One of the main updates was that we now have the official year when the movie is set. It will be set in 1983. The first photo that was actually revealed from the set was that it was a marquee from a movie theater stating, now playing Return of the Jedi. So it is actually set in the summer of 1983. So it's 10 years. Each film has been 10 years. Well, actually, it was 11 years from First Class to... Anyway, it was about a decade. All of them have been about a decade. Let's just go there. But Bryan Singer actually took to his Instagram because they were going to be filming outside, and this actually did end up happening, but he subverted that by revealing the first actual look at Nightcrawler from the film. Now, from my interpretation of this, it looks like it is just concept art. This doesn't look like it's actual makeup or anything like that on him, only because when you look at the leaked set photos, even though they're kind of blurry, it looks like it's a different look that he's gone for. This was just kind of, this gives you the general idea of what he looks like. And personally, I think he looks great. I mean, he looks like a younger version of Alan Cumming, who played the character in X-Men 2, or X2, I should say. He looks a lot closer to the Nightcrawler from the X-Men animated series, which is my favorite interpretation. I love that animated series. I just recently watched it like 6 or 8 months ago or something like that on Netflix, because they have it on Netflix. You notice that theme, like that always would be this theme song that I would love on Saturday mornings. Like, it was incredible. I loved it. And so Nightcrawler looks like he's going to be taken right from that, which I'm excited about. It's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, they have explained away the fact that they can now introduce these characters earlier on, because in the original movie, in X2, he had never met them before. Either parties. Professor X had never met Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler never met Professor X or the X-Men. And so this is going to be an interesting turn of events, because this is now saying, hey, none of that stuff actually happened anymore. That has been wiped clean. Even the stuff you liked has been wiped clean. So this is a brand new interpretation of these characters. Now, I have a feeling that he is going to be very similar to what we saw in X2. Just a little bit more subdued. He's not going to be as violent. He's not going to be as prone to susceptibility, because let's face it, he was under the mind control. He had that thing on his neck, the little stamp on his neck. So some of the other news that came out, though, because I really like the look of Nightcrawler. I think it looks actually really cool. But Lucas Till has been confirmed to return as Havoc. Now, this, out of all of the films, it makes the most sense for Havoc to be introduced here, because he's the older brother of Cyclops. Like Alex Summers and Scott Summers are brothers in the comics. Now, looking at the age difference between the two, because I don't know if they ever officially gave you his age in X-Men First Class, but I believe that Havoc was either like 19, 20, or in his early 20s, which means now this movie is 20 years later. So he's going to be in his 40s. His character is going to be in his 40s. And we know that Cyclops is going to be younger. Are they making them still brothers, or is Alex Summers actually going to be the father of Cyclops? Because there's that 10-year gap. We don't know what happened to Havoc in that 10 years, because we see him, with the Avengers, with the X-Men at the end of X-Men First Class. And then we see in Days of Future Past, 10 years later, he's actually working over in Vietnam. He's fighting over in Vietnam. So what happened to him in those years? Did he end up having a child with somebody? And was that Scott? I mean, all of these hopefully will be answered in the movie. I'm pretty sure that they will be. They won't leave something like that hanging. But it's really cool to see that he's back, and I'm going to be really excited to see what he's able to do. I just hope that it's more than a 2-minute scene with him, because that's all we got from him in Days of Future Past. And while it was nice to see him there, it was just a shame, because there were too many characters in that movie for them to be given equal screen time, and for them to each have their own moment to shine. So it was a shame. I just hope he gets a little bit more to do in this film. And then lastly, there is a rumor going around that Apocalypse might actually be the end of Bryan Singer's tenure with the X-Verse. Now, initially when I read that, I thought, oh, they're going to do a full-on reboot. They're going to completely wipe clean all of the continuity that they've done. And then I started thinking, Well, then Days of Future Past makes no sense because they essentially rebooted it while keeping the same cast. They've just cast great up-and-coming actors, the people who are going to be in high-profile projects from here on out. They just cast them as the younger versions of the characters that we've already come to know. Well, why would they do that if they're just going to wipe the slate clean after one film? So that to me means Bryan Singer is no longer going to be involved in the movies. Maybe Matthew Vaughn comes back, because Matthew Vaughn originally had a different version of Days of Future Past that he wanted to do, and it was actually going to be his way of rebooting the Wolverine character, because in the future scenes you were going to have Hugh Jackman, and then in the 1970s set sequences you were going to have a new actor playing Wolverine, and that was going to be their way of rebooting the character. So there's lots of ways that they could have gone about doing this, but I mean, it all depends on how Apocalypse comes out. If Apocalypse comes out to be the movie that we've been promised, then I'm all for Bryan Singer hanging up, his headphones and saying, I'm done with the X-Verse, I'm done with this, because he would have peaked. There's nowhere else you can go in the X-Verse without being... It's like what's going to happen with Avengers. Once they fight Thanos and most likely defeat Thanos, where do they go from there? There's not really anything out there that's bigger or worse. I mean, you could argue Galactus, but that would be cool. That could be used for the X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. Maybe that's what they're planning on. Maybe they're going to, after X-Men Apocalypse, they're going to do another X-Men film, or even more just standalone films, and then have a big X-Men Fantastic Four crossover movie where they have to fight Galactus. Oh, that would be sick. That would be so cool. Because that would mean we could hopefully get a properly utilized Galactus, not a goddamn shit cloud in space. So, I mean, there's lots of ways that they could do it. But, I mean, this would be Bryan Singer's 4th directed film in the series. And he was the one who came up with the First Class storyline to begin with. Bryan Singer was the one who thought up... Okay, I need to be careful how I word this. He didn't come up with First Class. He came up with the storyline that they used in First Class to really give that hook to make the producers want to go and make that film. He then came back to help write and then direct X-Men Days of Future Past. He's now doing Apocalypse. This is going to be the conclusion of the trilogy that he has set out to make. Now, he already kind of concluded his previous trilogy with Days of Future Past, but Days of Future Past will also work as a midpoint with the First Class trilogy. And this means that we're going to get an ending to that. We're going to get a conclusion. We're going to get a finite ending, at least to his interpretation of that. Now, that might mean that what I want to see is either have that crossover with Fantastic Four fighting Galactus, or what I've stated on here before, kind of do like a live action version of the X-Men animated universe, but set in the 90s. That way you can keep the new cast that they've got, who I think are going to really work well together. I've been championing Sophie Turner ever since I've seen her on Game of Thrones, that's our next Jean Grey. She is incredible, especially on this season. She's been awesome so far. So, I would love for them to announce, like, I know it's still really early. We're not going to get any information until either right before or right after Apocalypse, but I want to see what their plans are for the future of the X universe. Because we've got Deadpool and Gambit coming out. I wonder if they are planning on doing any more spin-offs. There's also the X-Force movie that they've been working on. So there's lots of films that they have in the works. But I think everybody out there is going to be clamoring for an actual X-Men film. As it stands right now, X-Men Apocalypse is set to debut on May 26th of next year. If we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Last week just happened to be the anniversary, the 75th anniversary of the creation of the Joker. Director David Ayer, the guy who's doing Suicide Squad, felt it fitting to, give us our first official look at the Joker. And I'm going to go on a little rant again, but I'm going to try to control myself. What the hell is wrong with everybody out there? There are so many people complaining about this picture. There's no way that they could have been happier. People complained about Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker. At the time, I was one of them, because we had nothing to go on before that. Then we saw him as the Joker, and it was just face paint. And you know, he had the scars right here, and he had the red lipstick that went out, and everybody lost their minds. Everybody loses their minds. And they were overjoyed by it. They thought that it was great. Then they announced that Jared Leto was cast as the new Joker, and everybody was very happy about that. And then when the first image comes out, that is one of the most telling Joker images that I've ever seen. One of the best interpretations of this character. I mean, looking at what the core aspects of the character, this is really hurting my arm. Just hold on a sec, that really freaking hurt. What the core aspects of the character are. He is manic. He is insane. He is creepy. He is murderous. He is a psychopath. He is a sociopath. How can you not get that from that picture? You know, I can't remember what I was watching, if it was AMC Heroes or something else, where one of the guys on there, I think it was actually John Schnepp, who said, you know, in the older comics, they always used to write the ha 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 ha's above him, and they were always floating around his head. And what better way to interpret that than on him? He's also, from our understanding of this new Joker, he has been in jail, in prison for years, which most likely means he would have jailhouse tattoos. He would have his body covered. Now, the other things on there as well, I don't have a problem with damaged. Somebody who is mentally damaged would do something like that. There is a likelihood for that. I don't get they're like, oh, it's too on the nose. He's insane. How is anything too on the nose? That would only be like having a dog called Crazy. You know, that's too on the nose. But he is insane. He is murderous. He is psychopathic. I mean, obviously, all of this stuff makes so much sense when you look at the context of the picture. Now, that being said, there are reports going around that the tattoos actually will not be included in the final version of the character that we see on screen. That might be because he's going to be wearing a jumpsuit through the whole movie, because from what we know, he is actually going to be in prison throughout the majority of the movie. He's going to be like a Hannibal Lecter type character. But, like, when I saw that, I went, oh my God, that is awesome. Like, that screams Joker. Look at the eyes. Look at the way that he is laughing. He's almost scream laughing. He's pulling back his hair just like he's done in the comics, in that infamous shot. You know, he's got the J tattooed under his eye. He's got the skull and jester cap on his chest. He's got all the ha-ha-ha's. He has what looks to be a robin on his bicep. I mean, people who hate on this picture are people looking to hate on this picture. First off, it's just a picture. That's all it is. It's just a picture. We haven't heard him speak. We haven't seen him move. We haven't seen him interact with anybody yet. But the fact that there are so many people hating on this picture, like, I seriously am wondering what the hell it means to be a fanboy anymore. Like, again, I bring back Screen Junkies. I think even Andy Signor on that show even stated that, you know, they're fanboy hating right now. And they're doing that for almost everything out there. Why? If you have a legitimate concern, absolutely, bring it up. Let's talk about it. Let's see if through our own speculation and interpretation we can work it out. And then even if we go and see the movie, you go, yeah, well, I thought it was going to be this a long time ago. And even though it wasn't that, I still didn't like that they might have been going down that route. I've actually had conversations with people who were like that. Like, I know that they didn't end up doing that, but still the fact that they at one point might have done that, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. What? That's like saying you don't like somebody because they're a murderer because at one point they went to war and they almost shot somebody. How, like, what? Where the hell do you get these thoughts from? And so people coming out and saying that, you know, he doesn't look that great, or, you know, it's lackluster. He looks more like a punk rock band member. Okay, going back to Man of Steel. Man of Steel has set up the way that this world is going to work. So they took the mythos of Superman, somebody who in the comics has never, ever killed. He has a very stingent no-kill policy, even though there have been times in the comics where he has done that. But still, in this day and age, which is what they were doing, they were making a Superman movie in this day and age. This movie is going to exist within that universe. Superman in the new millennium, the character of Clark Kent, it would not be like it was in the 50s. It wouldn't be, don't do that, son, that's bad. And it's not that anymore. That's not the world that we live in. and getting Superman to understand that there are times where there is a Sophie's Choice. They're both the worst choices you can make, but you have to make the best one out of the two. And that is the world that we live in. That is what they have set up with this movie. And with Joker being the way that he is, it makes sense. This is a new interpretation of this character. He might not have fallen into a vat of chemicals. That might not be how he was created. He might just be a sociopath. You know, he might be in a similar history or a similar backstory to what we got from Heath Ledger in the Dark Knight movies. This is a very different Joker, clearly looking at him. I mean, even the brass teeth. Like, he's had his teeth knocked out by Batman because he's been in jail for God knows how long. Batman's been Batman for 20 years. Like, I just don't get all the hatred for this. And it really makes me kind of upset that there are people out there who are genuine fanboys who then see something that should make them so happy and they're like, oh, I don't like it. Why? Well, because it looks stupid. Oh, there's an intelligent comment. You know what I mean? I just go on some of the chat boards on some of the websites and just read some of the comments. I mean, it actually does kind of make you want to cry a little bit that these people have been given money in the past to purchase a computer and to pay for internet access so that they can go and comment on these websites. Like, that to me is a waste of resources because these people are goddamn morons. But anyway, now I think, and oh, I got a little worried today because we got our first look of what Will Smith looks like on the set of Suicide Squad. And oh man, now he's pre-Deadshot getup. He doesn't have the eye or anything like that. He is 100% a cross between his character in Wild Wild West and Shaft. Like, it's bad. It does not look good at all. Again, this is just a picture. This is just could even be taken out of context. This might even be a flashback from when his wife and kid get killed. You know, it would kind of turns him into that. But he's got the full rimmed hat, and he's got it kind of slanted down to one side like he did in Wild Wild West. I mean, he's got the brown leather jacket. It does not look good. If he had taken off the hat, it would have made everything a lot better. It's the hat that does it. It's a bad hat. Now, it's going to depend on how David Ayer is going to shoot it. That's going to be the main thing. It's going to be how is that going to look on screen. But my main thing right now, I want to see what they're going to do with Harley Quinn. I need to see what that character is going to look like because from what I've been told, she's going to be having like 5 or 6 different costumes in the movie. She's going to have her standard Jester outfit as well that most people are accustomed to seeing her in. So, I mean, only time will tell. Suicide Squad's going to open up next August. I have a feeling that in DC's massive San Diego Comic-Con panel, that they are going to actually bring out the official cast of Suicide Squad with what they look like. Whether or not they're actually in costume, I don't think they're going to go that far, but we might actually get official stills and maybe even some footage at Comic-Con. So hopefully, you know, time will tell. I'm excited for it. Suicide Squad's going to open up on August 5th of next year. So if we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Johnny Depp is back, everybody. I mean, finally, we have Johnny Depp returning to acting. He is not playing some weird, strange character. He is playing somebody from real life. He is playing Whitey Bulger. He is playing one of the most notorious gangsters in American history. And holy God, is this trailer creepy. If you haven't seen it, click the link in the description of this video below and you can watch the trailer for Black Mass. This movie looks incredible. I mean, it's directed by Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper recently did Out of the Furnace with Woody Harrelson and Casey Affleck and Christian Bale. And before that, he did Crazy Heart, which just happened to win Jeff Bridges the Academy Award for Best Actor. So this guy is already 2 for 2. He's got a third one coming out. It looks absolutely stunning. I mean, just that one, the way that it was edited too, where he, you know, he's just talking back, he's like, you got to give me that recipe. You got to give me the recipe for this. The guy's like, it's a family secret. It's a family secret. And then through just very, very simple tactic, he's just like, come on, you know, you got to give it up. And he's like, all right, it's just this and this. And he goes, oh, I thought it was a family secret. And he goes, well, no. He's like, no, it's just ingredients, just a recipe. And he goes, no. And when they cut right there, and they did, I think it was, you know, this fall or something, or Universal Pictures Presents, or whoever, I can't remember the company that actually, I think it was Universal. And then it cuts back to him. He's like, no. And the change of character like that, he went from joking around to cold-blooded killer. And you felt in that moment the adrenaline increase in your body. And then at the end of the trailer, once it goes through the montage, and then it gets to the end and he starts laughing, he's like, look at his face. You know, I mean, the whole trailer had you on edge. And it's a 2-minute trailer. This movie is going to be a 2-hour film that's going to give you that same feeling, but for that entire 2 hours. I cannot wait for this movie. I mean, just looking at the cast, you've got Joel Edgerton, you've got Benedict Cumberbatch, you've got Kevin Bacon, Dakota Johnson, Peter Sarsgaard, Jesse Plemons, Corey Stoll. I mean, with that and Scott Cooper, like, this is going to be a return to force for Depp. This is going to be his calling. This is going to be his return. I don't know what other word to use. I really don't. This has been the movie I wanted Transcendence to be. You know, I saw this movie and I went, finally, Johnny Depp looks like he's returning to acting, although I should have looked more into the trailers, because when you look into the trailers of that movie, you can tell he's asleep. They had to pin his eyes open, and they just, you know, digitally made his mouth move, and that's how he was speaking, but they just filmed him while he was sleeping, because that's what it felt like. I mean, that movie was just a snooze fest. But wow, I mean, you know, he played Whitey Bulger. He was, you know, he was an FBI informant while simultaneously being probably the most notorious crime lord in all of Boston's history. I mean, this guy committed dozens, if not hundreds, of crimes over a span of two or three decades. So, I mean, I'm surprised we haven't had a movie version of him yet. And with Johnny Depp, I mean, good God, just look at that. Like, yeah, he's got makeup on. So what? He's not playing a weird character. He is playing somebody of real existence. The guy actually existed. And those milky white contact lenses, they remove the soul from him. Like, it's just creepy. It's sadistic. I love it. I love it. I can't wait for this movie to come out. It's going to be opening up on September 18th. Again, if you haven't watched the trailer, click the link in the description of this video below, and you'll be able to watch the trailer there. But if we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll do it for part 2 of today's episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner and get updates whenever a new video is posted. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give our Facebook fan page a like at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you ever have a topic or question you'd like to have talked about on the show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, I'll try to get to as many as I can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.